This is Defense News Weekly from Newsgate Television, edition number 8 and 9. Among the top stories in this edition, the dramatic rescue of stranded Indians from war-torn Sudan. And amidst border tensions, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh meeting his Chinese counterpart in the national capital during the Defense Ministers' meet held alongside the Shanghai Cooperation Organization roundtable meeting. But first thing first. In the remarkable and dramatic rescue attempt, rather a successful one, the Indian Air Force was able to extract 121 trapped and stranded Indian nationals in the remote part of Sudan, where war between two armed state militia has left all foreign nationals in that country to run for their lives. The IAF rescue was executed in pitch darkness in a remote airstrip around midnight of 27th of April and 28th of April. It so happened that about 40 kilometers north of Sudanese capital Khartoum, the Air Force pilots landed their Lockheed Martin C-130J Super Hercules military transport aircraft at the degraded airstrip known as Wadia Saidina that had neither any navigational approach aids nor critical landing lights. According to Defense and External Affairs Ministry officials, the difficult extraction was executed with help of electro-optical infra detection instruments fixed on C-130 Hercules aircrafts. This was to make sure that rough runway was free of any obstruction. Daring Indian Air Force pilots use night vision goggles to land their transporter in total blackout conditions. The tension, as one of the officials stated, was palpable at the location at the time when rescue aircraft had landed. The ceasefire reached between two warring Sudanese sides had expired by that time, and there was an imminent danger that C-130 Hercules could have received a direct fire from a hidden enemy. Upon landing aircraft, engines were kept running while 8 IAF Special Force Garud commandos secured the passengers, which included a pregnant woman and their luggage into the aircraft. The Indian Air Force statement that was released soon after the incident stated. Thereafter, much like the landing, the takeoff for Jeddah, some 90 minutes flying time away, too was successfully completed by two C-130 pilots using night vision goggles, which by no means was an easy task. The entire nail-biting operation, the Indian Air Force added, lasted about 2.5 hours and would go down in the annals of the force's history for its sheer audacity and flawless execution. The Air Force officials have not yet declared the names of two pilots who flew the daring, successful mission. And back home in India, the Defense Minister Rajnath Singh apparently spoke in straight language and informed his Chinese counterpart, General Li Shangfu, in New Delhi that all bilateral ties between the two nations are directly proportional to the successes at the negotiating table for border talks on the line of actual control. According to an official statement issued by the Defense Ministry, Rajnath Singh categorically conveyed that development of relations between India and China is premised on prevalence of peace and tranquility at the borders. He added that all issues at the LAC need to be resolved in accordance with existing bilateral agreements and commitments. He reiterated that violation of existing agreements has eroded the entire basis of bilateral relations, and disengagement at the border will logically be followed with de-escalation. All this happened in Delhi on April the 28th. Apart from this high-profile meeting, the Defense Minister also had a very fruitful meeting with the Iranian Defense Minister, Brigadier General Mohammad Reza Ashtiani. Both the ministers reviewed the bilateral defense cooperation and exchanged views on regional security issues including peace and stability in Afghanistan. Further, the two ministers discussed the development of the international North-South transport corridor to ease logistic problems to Afghanistan and other countries in the Central Asian region. The latest edition of Army Commanders Conference, which was organized for the first time in a hybrid model, was held between the April 17th and April 21st. It was decided at this crucial meeting to kickstart the Cyber Command operation at the earliest. The Army Commanders Conference was also informed that the ongoing construction of Thal Sena Bhavan at Delhi Cant, which commenced in March earlier this year, would be completed by 2025. The new Army headquarter building is coming up near the existing Manekshaw Centre. 44th Squadron of the Indian Air Force is celebrating its Diamond Jubilee this year at Chandigarh. The rich and glorious history of this squadron is a kaleidoscope of military history and military diplomacy of the modern day India, and filled with tales of fortitude, courage, daring, devotion, and professionalism, which encapsulates all that Indian Air Force stands for. The squadron was raised on 6th of April 1961 and equipped with AN-12 aircraft. It operated the AN-12 till 1985. In March 1985, it brought the Illusion 76 aircraft into India, which was formally inducted into the Indian Air Force on 16th of June 1985. The aircraft continues to serve till date. The Diamond Jubilee celebrations due in 2021 had to be postponed due to COVID-19 pandemic. In 1985, the squadron was renamed as the Mighty Jets. Indian naval ships have reached South China Sea, where it will conduct military maneuvers with the Navy of the Singapore. The Indian naval ship INS Satpura will take part in what is now officially known as ASEAN India Maritime Exercise 2023. INS Satpura is a missile-guided destroyer based at Naval Station in Vishakhapatnam. Now the news from the DRDO, the India's Defence Research and Development Organization. Earlier this week, the Centre of Fire, Explosive and Environment Safety at Delhi-based laboratory of the DRDO announced that it has designed and developed a vertical shaft-based underground ammunition storage facility. This new kind of vertical storage structure for ammo dumps will enable the upward vertical dissipation of blast effects, thereby considerably reducing the blast effect on surrounding utilities. The design validation trial of this underground ammunition storage structure was successfully conducted on 30th of April. The instrumented blast trial was carried out by DRDO's bomb experts in presence of reps from armed forces by detonating 5,000 kilos of TNT in one of the chambers of the underground facility. The armed forces find it difficult to stock ammunition as required by them due to non-availability of an adequate land, as large safety distances are required for ammo dump storage structures. In another related news from DRDO, in collaboration with the Indian Navy, it has developed and successfully conducted a trial of made-in-India shock-proof container which could be dropped from an aircraft into the sea for supplying store items for warships deployed more than 2,000 kilometers from the coastline. The DRDO and the Navy conducted this successful maiden test trial of what is known as Air Droppable Container, the ADC-150, with a capacity of 150 kilograms payload capacity. The maiden test drop was conducted at an undisclosed location by the DRDO for the Indian Navy by Illusion 38D aircraft. This is a Russian-made Illusion machine and a maritime plane. A statement issued by the Defense Ministry stated that the trial was conducted to enhance the naval operational logistic capabilities by providing quick response to meet the requirement of critical engineering stores to ships under distress, which are deployed at least 2,000 kilometers from the mainland. It reduces the requirement of ships to come close to the coast to collect spares and stores. Still staying news from the DRDO, a successful test of ballistic missile defense system was carried out off the coast in Odisha when DRDO with Indian Navy conducted a maiden flight trial of sea-based endo-atmospheric interceptor missile in the Bay of Bengal region on 21st of April. The purpose of this trial was to engage and neutralize a hostile ballistic missile threat, thereby elevating India into an elite club of nations having naval BMD capability, that is, the ballistic missile defense systems. Prior to this, DRDO has successfully transmitted land based BMD system with the capability to neutralize ballistic missile threats emerging from adversaries. The week gone by also saw the 6th edition of Scope India 2023, an air exercise held between Indian Air Force and the United States Air Force. It was conducted over the last 2 weeks at the Air Force stations at Kalaikunda, Panagarh and Agra and culminated on 24th of April. The exercise involved participation of frontline IAF aircrafts like Rafale, Tejas, Sukhoi 30, Jaguar, C-17 and C-130. United States Air Force in turn had fielded F-15 Strike Eagle fighter, C-130, MC-130J, C-17 and B-1B bombers, the strategic bombers of the United States Air Force. Aircrew from Japanese Air Self-Defense Force also took part as observers during the Scope India 2023 exercise. The 7th edition of Joint Military Exercise, known as Ajay Warrior 2023 between India and United Kingdom, is being conducted at Salisbury Plains in United Kingdom. It started from 27th of April and will conclude on 11th of May. Exercise Ajay Warrior is a biennial training event with the United Kingdom, which is conducted alternatively in United Kingdom and India. The last edition was held at Chaubatia in Uttarakhand in October 2021. Soldiers from 2nd Royal Gorkha Rifles of the United Kingdom and Indian Army soldiers from Bihar Regiment are participating in the current phase of the exercise. The Indian Army contingent arrived at Brize Norton on 26th of April by an Indian Air Force C-17 aircraft with indigenous weapons and equipment. The scope of Ajay Warrior exercise involves a command post exercise at a battalion level and company level field training exercise. During the exercise, participants will engage in a variety of missions testing their operational acumen in various stimulated situations, showcasing and refining their tactical drills and learning from each other's operational experience. Now the news from Indian Navy. Imphal, Indian Navy's third indigenous stealth destroyer of the Project 15B class, planned to be commissioned later this year, undertook her maiden sea sortie on 28th of April. This stealth destroyer incorporates several niche technologies and high indigenous content and is designed in-house by the Indian Navy Warships Design Bureau and constructed at the Mazgaon Dock Limited. INS Imphal will have a unique distinction of being the largest and most advanced destroyer ever named after a city from the northeast. INS Imphal will add significantly to the Indian Navy's combat capabilities. With recent commissioning of her predecessor INS Mormugao in December 2022, along with submarine INS Wagir in January 2023, commencement of trial of INS Imphal is yet another important milestone in Mazgaon Dock Limited's continued contribution towards building a strong, modern and self-reliant India. That's all in this edition of Defense News Weekly. Keep watching this space from Newsgate Television. Namaskar. Jai Hind.